The world knew her father as a hero. A man who could fly. A man who could save the world on screen. But behind the cameras, something was always missing. Something dark. Something no one wanted to see. For years, no one spoke about her. She grew up in complete silence, hidden from the flashing lights. While Tom Cruise climbed higher than ever, she watched from a painful distance. A daughter forgotten by a legend. And now, she finally broke her silence. The truth is shocking. The truth is painful. And everyone is asking the same question. What really happened behind closed doors? This is the story of Sui Cruise. The girl who had everything. Except a father. When Sui was born in 2006, the world celebrated. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes were Hollywood royalty. The photos were beautiful. The smiles were perfect. Little Sui wore designer dresses. She was the most famous baby on earth. Magazines paid millions for her pictures. Everyone thought she had the fairy tale life. But fairy tales are never real. Something felt wrong from the beginning. Deeply wrong. Tom Cruise was not just an actor. He was the face of Scientology. A powerful and secretive organization. And inside that world, family means something completely different. Katie Holmes was also pulled into the church. But as Sui grew older, Katie started seeing the truth. The church controlled everything. Who Tom could see. What Sui could learn. How they should live. It was not a marriage anymore. It was a prison. By 2012, something had to change. Katie Holmes made a dangerous decision. She filed for divorce. And she asked for sole custody. That was an act of war. Scientology does not let people leave easily. But Katie was willing to risk everything. For Sui. For freedom. The divorce was fast and shocking. Tom Cruise was filming somewhere far away. He did not fight for custody. He did not ask for visits. He simply let them go. And here is the painful part. That was the last time Sui had a normal life. After the divorce, the silence began. Tom Cruise moved on like nothing happened. He returned to making movies. He jumped off buildings. He flew jets. He smiled at premieres. But Sui was nowhere in his world. No birthday messages. No phone calls. No Christmas together. Nothing. Katie raised Sui alone in New York. Away from Hollywood. Away from the church. Away from the man who was once her father. And for 12 long years. 12 painful years. Sui grew up without him. While Tom Cruise became bigger than ever. Top Gun Maverick made billions. Mission Impossible kept breaking records. He was called the last true movie star. Fans worshipped him. Directors loved him. The world saw a man who never aged. A man who never failed. A man who could do anything. But here is the truth. The same man could not be a father. Not to Sui. Not to his adopted children either. Isabella and Connor also drifted away. The pattern was always there. But no one wanted to see it. Because Tom Cruise was too famous. Too powerful. Too beloved. And Sui was just a child. No one listens to children. Until now. In 2024, something changed. Sui turned 18. She became an adult. She graduated high school. And she made a decision that shocked everyone. She dropped her father's last name. No more Cruise. She chose Holmes. Her mother's name. The name of the woman who actually raised her. The world was shocked. But that was only the beginning. Soon after, Sui gave an interview. She did not scream. She did not cry. She spoke calmly. And that made it even more painful. She said, "I don't really know him. He wasn't there. I grew up without a father. And I'm okay with that now." Those words broke the internet. How could Tom Cruise abandon his own daughter? How could a man worth $600 million ignore his child for 12 years? People started digging. Old stories came back. When Sui was small, Tom rarely saw her. Even when they lived together. He was always working, always flying, always busy with the church. Katie once said, "He loves Suey in his own way." But that way was invisible. That way meant nothing. Because love without presence is not love. Love without time is just an empty word. And Suey learned that very early. While Tom was saving the world in movies, Suey was learning to live without him. She went to school like a normal kid. She made friends. She celebrated birthdays with Katie's family. No bodyguards. No limousines. No paparazzi chasing her. Katie protected her from the madness. But she could not protect her from the pain. The pain of seeing other girls with their fathers. The pain of knowing your dad is famous, but still chooses to stay away. The pain of watching him on TV and feeling absolutely nothing, because he is a stranger. And that is the deepest wound. A father who is alive, but completely absent. Suey once said something heartbreaking. She was only 7 years old. A paparazzo asked about her dad. She smiled and said, "He's not here right now." Such a small sentence. But it said everything. He was never there. Not for school plays. Not for sick days. Not for bedtime stories. Not for anything that mattered. And the church played a huge role. Scientology has a dark rule. Once a member leaves, they must disconnect from family inside the church. Katie left. So Suey was now disconnected. Tom was told to stay away. And he obeyed. He always obeyed the church. More than he ever obeyed the call of fatherhood. This is the part people cannot understand. How can any organization be more important than your own child? How can you choose silence over love? But Tom Cruise made that choice. Every single day. For 12 years. He never visited. He never called. He never sent a birthday gift. Nothing. While Suey grew into a young woman. She became smart, quiet, strong. She did not become famous. She did not seek attention. She simply survived. And now, at 18, she is finally speaking her truth. Not for revenge. Not for money. Just for closure. She said, "I don't need him anymore. I learned to be my own parent." Those words are beautiful and tragic. A child should never have to parent herself. But Suey did. She became her own protector. Her own guide. Her own source of love. And Tom Cruise kept flying higher. Winning awards. Breaking records. Smiling like nothing was wrong. But something is wrong. Deeply wrong. The world is finally waking up. Fans are asking questions. Why did he abandon Suey? Why did the church allow it? Why did no one stop it? These questions have no easy answers. But Suey's story is not just about Tom Cruise. It is about every child who feels invisible. Every kid whose parent chose work, or addiction, or power, or control, over their own flesh and blood. Suey survived. But not every child does. Some break. Some never heal. Some spend their whole lives waiting for a phone call. That never comes. Suey stopped waiting. She closed that door forever. And she walked away. Now she is studying in college. She wants a normal life. Far from Hollywood. Far from Scientology. Far from the man who shares her blood. But not her heart. And this is where the story gets even darker. Because Tom Cruise has never explained himself. He has never apologized publicly. He has never said her name in an interview. Not once. In 12 years. Not once. Think about that. A father who refuses to say his daughter's name. What kind of pain does that cause? What kind of silence is that? Suey lived with that silence every single day. While the world clapped for Tom Cruise. While fans called him a legend. While magazines called him the greatest star alive. She sat in her room. Knowing the truth. That fame means nothing. That money means nothing. That power means nothing. If you cannot love your own child. And now the truth is finally out. Suey told the world. Not with anger. but with honesty. She said, "I am happier now than I ever was. Because I stopped pretending. He was never my father. He was just Tom Cruise." That line destroyed the illusion. For years, people defended him. Maybe he was busy. Maybe Katie kept Sui away. Maybe the church forced him. Maybe. But excuses end when a child speaks. And Sui spoke clearly. She did not blame Scientology. She did not blame Katie. She did not blame the media. She simply said, "He chose not to be there." And that is the hardest truth. Because it was a choice. Every single day. Tom Cruise chose movies. He chose the church. He chose his image. He chose everything except his daughter. And Sui accepted that. She healed without him. She grew stronger without him. She became whole without him. That is her victory. But it is also her deepest wound. Because she should never have had to be that strong. A child should be weak sometimes. A child should need her father. A child should cry and be held. Sui never had that. She cried alone. She grew up fast. She learned that love is not guaranteed. Even from the people who are supposed to love you most. And now the world sees her. Not as Tom Cruise's daughter. But as Sui Holmes. A young woman who survived silence. Who broke free from a legacy of absence. Who chose truth over fame. Her story is not over. She is just beginning. But one question remains. Will Tom Cruise ever respond? Will he ever explain? Will he ever say her name? The world is waiting. But Sui is not. She moved on. And that might be the most powerful message of all. You do not need to wait for someone to change. You do not need to beg for love. You can walk away. You can heal. You can build your own life. Even when the whole world worships the person who hurt you. Even when no one believes you. Even when you are just a child. Sui Cruise, now Sui Holmes, proved that silence can be broken. That truth has power. That blood does not make a family. Love does. And Tom Cruise, the greatest movie star on earth, could not give that love. Or would not. Either way, the result is the same. A daughter who grew up fatherless. And a father who will never get those years back. No amount of money. No amount of fame. No movie premiere. No award. Can fill that emptiness. Because when you abandon your child, you abandon yourself. And the world finally sees it. The mask is off. The truth is out. And everyone is shocked. Not because Sui spoke. But because Tom stayed silent. For 12 years. He stayed silent. And silence is the loudest answer of all. So here we are. A daughter told the truth. And the truth hurt. But sometimes, the truth is the only thing that sets you free. What do you think about this?